To me. Oh, there we go. We now sit. We never used to sit. It's not you, it's us.
No, there's still coffee in my body. I might be getting
oh yeah, they just offered us a coffee. Kim was like, oh God, no. I just hit my teeth with the microphone. So that's where we're headed. Hey! All right, a few of you who know us are like, oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. I've never been here before going, what is happening right now? Who are these fucking broads?
Yeah. Yeah, there's still a warning that we cuss though, right?
Oh, these chairs go all the way around. Oh, cool. Oh! How much do you guys pay for these tickets? This is what you get. Okay, I'm sorry. Now I'm dizzy. Okay.
This is a freebie for me. I don't get to do drugs anymore. Now I'm gonna go vomit and it'll be just like my 20s.
So we play characters on Supernatural. Or we did. In our brains, we still do, maybe.
Queens! Thank you, I love you.
Thank you. Let's take a question.
Yeah, let's
start over here.
Start over here.
Hi.
So I follow Kim on TikTok, and she's like adopted a bunch of us. Brianna, I was wondering if you would also adopt us, and what is your best piece of mom advice?
Can I say something super fast? Now, this is not a correction. This is an expansion of my awareness. You may hear me say this. One of my favorite things about all of you fuckers is that you have taught me when someone has a personal experience with something that I don't, and I make a reference to it, and the person with the actual experience corrects me, they're right. So there have been people who have experience with adoption who have said, this is actually not a word that you get to use casually, Kim. And I was like, you're right. If that causes you pain, if that makes you uncomfortable, that is disrespectful of me. So I'm changing my language. So instead, my language is, I have invited you to call me mom. So that's it.
That's beautiful.
You
know me.
Would that be okay if we called you Mom, Brianna, and what is your best piece of mom advice?
You can call me Mom. I'm not sure I will respond. Let's find out. But mom advice, fuck. I feel like my main thing that I'm trying to do with my daughter right now is to not traumatize her. When we're all sitting here as grown-ups going, that is impossible. It kind of is, because I'm a human, I fuck up, and then sometimes I go, oh God, like if I yell at her, or I would tell her to stop crying, or anything, and I'm just like, no, don't do that. So I try to just do my best. And by that, I go, then she knows that if she does her best, then that's good. That is good. Always trying to do your best is the best thing you can do. Also, I think for some occupations, university is overrated. I'm not someone who went to university, and I didn't say for all occupations, or people. I just think it's not a thing. Like my daughter recently, this is very exciting, got a job on a cartoon. Yes. So she, and I won't say which one, but I work on a cartoon. The director who works with me had a character that was Latina, and she wanted to use culturally appropriate actors for these characters. My daughter is half Mexican, so she was interested, and she got the part, and now she does that, and it's super fun, and everybody's like, oh, well, now she can save up for school, and I was like, she's not fucking using that money for school. She's gonna start a business. She can fucking learn what she needs to at school. Anyway, for some people and some occupations. There, did I get all of my things? Anyway, bless your heart. You can call me Mom.
Oh, thank you.
See, for me, it just sounds kinky. It's not my thing. It's not my thing.
Maybe I'll just call you Aunt Bree then.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Hello.
Hello. First of all, I want to say you guys are beautiful. Love y'all. And welcome, Kim. You didn't come last time, so I'm so excited that you're here.
You didn't?
Thank you. What was I doing last
Did I come last night?
Yes, Brianna, you did, but I
Was
think
I working?
you were at another convention in Europe with Ruth, I think.
Did you have a question or?
You just gave me flashbacks to last time, like you called me a pervert for my question, but
That's hands. Oh, good, let's keep that going. Okay, yes, please. Great.
but my question is, what guilty pleasure makes you feel alive that you have?
I mean, still doing it, hey?
I'm still a little pervert.
I do not believe in guilty pleasures. Anything that gives you pleasure, unless it actively harms somebody else, it does not need to make you feel guilty. Food, sex, desires, wants, needs, none of that is guilt. Guilt is something that the system that we lived in has made us feel so that we can stay small. We know that, right? As women? Enjoy your gorgeous life. Pleasures that I enjoy. I do like watching TV. Watch a lot of TV. I ordered some Middle Eastern food last night. That was pretty good. I like dark chocolate. Got a nice tequila while I was in Mexico. These are just a few of my many, many pleasures. Kim?
I'm gonna go with emus on TikTok. Final answer.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Emus? Emu. Those are puffy white animals, right?
No, they're birds. They're birds. And Charlie runs around with a horse. And I don't know what, are you thinking?
Llama.
Llamas, although llama talk is also,
As a big, I've seen llamas going emus.
Yes.
To show me in the green room.
I'll show you my
It's
recent
very
favorite.
specific.
It is specific.
Good for you. You enjoy those fucking emus.
Thank you. And I do.
Since both of your characters were sheriffs, that is my question. Did you ever get feedback, like in person, from female law enforcement officers about your portrayal or your characters or anything like that?
I get feedback from you asked specifically female law enforcement. I get it now, where I do have people that connect with me and say they were grateful for the portrayal. But going in, one of my best friends from high school is a police officer. So I did a ride-along. I got to hang out. I got to hear the pieces of what it is to be in law enforcement. I also got to ask the question, what makes you crazy when you see people doing it? And so I got a long discussion about what trigger finger discipline is and why you don't put your finger on the fucking trigger and then pose like this with the gun. Ooh, so dangerous and sexy. You're gonna blow your fucking ear off!
Doesn't look sexy to me.
No, but that, like, they want the gun in the shot.
In the shot.
It's a close shot of your face, and you gotta be taking, like, Although it did kind of backfire on me because there were things where they'd remind me, they'd be like, you have to be pulling the trigger in this scene. I'm like, oh, right. Take my finger, I gotta pull the trigger now. I'm not so good at that. I'm really super good at keeping it out.
What she said. We actually, thank you for your question. I struggled with pulling the gun out of the holster.
Oh, that's...
You can laugh. You can laugh. It's okay. There's a
Down and out. You gotta go down and out. Down and out.
few bloopers where I'm just constantly trying to get out. Anyway, so I would practice and I would meet with people, obviously, who were enforcement, who had knew how to do it safely and had all of the equipment and all that. And I chat with them, understanding I'm from Canada, and so the law enforcement system is different there. We don't elect police force, sheriffs in this case, which I thought was kind of cool for a character like Donna to be elected, because she's not somebody that I think would be voted prom queen, and yet she's the fucking sheriff. That's right. But what I do really appreciate is any people in the fandom who are law enforcement who have come up to us and told us how grateful they are for having representation that they, I'm sure, don't see enough of. Because I think that, yeah, underrepresented gender in that occupation. So thank you.
My name is Thomas. I'm newly converted to Supernatural.
Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
The hazing will start at 6.
So while blazing through this series, I noticed your hairstyles changing pretty drastically from time skip to time skip.
Not mine.
You're correct.
Mine, yes, mine,
Sorry.
yes.
I wanted to ask if those were your own choices or if they were forced direction given to you.
Oh, bless your heart.
Question.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
A hair question.
The first time I showed up with different hair, they panicked because I'd cut it. And they wanted to put me in a wig, so hair and makeup found me the worst wig possible. And they were like, okay, we see what you're doing there. But here's the thing, I explained to them, if you want to tell me what to do with my hair, then you need to hire me for more than 1 episode a year. I like to change my hair. You can tell me what to do with it when you pay for that right. Weirdly, you always figured out it was Jody though, right? Didn't you? Yeah, it was kind of a giveaway when Sam and Dean would say, hey Jody.
Because you know what women do in real life?
Change your hair! Thank you! Oh look! Oh look! It's new hair! Yeah, so yes, that was all me, and they just smiled and put up with it. They just asked for a heads up so they could match my stunt double, because it was always very awkward when they like got a wig for my stunt double and I showed up and I'm like, no, I shaved it this week! They're like, oh fuck! So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my love.
Hi, I'm going to be reading the question for her. Okay. Her name is Madeline. She's from Texas.
Hi,
Madeline.
Madeline?
The question is for Kim. I am autistic, and I was wondering if you deal with learning how to unmask, stop pretending to be neurotypical as an autistic adult.
Yes. There is this idea that neurotypical people are doing us a favor by giving us permission to be ourselves. That is a lie. Just as much of a lie as I am obligated to unmask. That is not other people's feelings. I have said it before, I'm going to say it again. Other people's feelings are not my fucking job. I get to identify myself. And the struggle that I am having is, what are my authentic needs? Because I spent so much of my life identifying my needs by what would make other people happy, what would make other people comfortable. So I'm doing it little by little. I've started the process of getting an official diagnosis. We went through, again, the whole checklist, and they were like, yeah, okay, we're gonna move forward with this. And I was like, so heartbreakingly affirmed. Like, I need the neurotypicals to tell me my experience is valid, because otherwise, I'll tell you what it's like. I'll give you an analogy, for those of you who have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. I feel like I spent 50 years surrounded by monkeys. and they all climbed trees. And they climbed trees really, really fucking well. And every time I tried to climb a tree, I just like slapped into it and fell on the ground. And so I've spent 50 years being like, I can't climb a tree, I can't climb a tree, and I'm having a hard time breathing. And then somebody came along and was like, you're a fish! Oh, I'm not a broken monkey. I'm a fish. So my love, what I say to you is, no one needs to watch me swim. I just get to go to the water. You don't need permission to unmask. You don't need to force yourself to unmask. You just get to feel where your yes is and let yourself have it. Because you are perfect and the rest of the world can fucking deal with itself. Thank you. Crowd, thank you.
Brianna Buckmaster and
Guys, another spoiler alert for me. There's a person backstage. Doesn't come in until beginning of season 4, I believe. But once you saw him, you never forgot him. Certainly my favorite character on the show that I'm just now watching for the first time and haven't gotten to him yet, but still he's my favorite character. Ladies and gentlemen, Misha Collins! He's
Hello, everyone. Hello. So apparently Dallas is the best city to live in the country or something. I read an article that said that. So I was wandering around yesterday trying to figure out why is it so great? And I think there are a lot of good answers to that question. One of them is that there's stars on the posts of the Lone Star stars on the posts for the off-ramps on the highways. And nobody else has that. That would be awesome. Why is this city so great? Can anyone answer that question for me? Because you have kids that were born here?
No, they weren't.
Who?
They weren't.
I don't know who you're talking about. Okay.
I'm a huge fan and I love your poetry, first of all.
Thank you for your charity.
And I'm also wearing a Hey Aspet mask.
Oh.
Just cuz.
That's classic.
I, of course, follow you and you do a lot of things with your children, and I wanted to ask, what is your favorite thing to do with your kids? And if you could do one thing to be a better father, what would that be?
Well, recently I've been spending a lot of time with the kids because there's been a lot of COVID exposures and then quarantines. So as soon as one quarantine ends, there's another like, oh no, another COVID exposure. And so the kids have just been at home constantly. I think that they're actually exposing themselves on purpose. And one of the things that I've discovered that I love is like, we'll just go for walks and I will do whatever I can to embarrass them. They're at that age where they're starting to cringe at the things their dad does, and I'm just really leaning into that and quite enjoying it. We went on a walk recently in town and they were running ahead saying, we don't know him, we don't know him. And that felt good, like I felt like a win for me. I like exploring the world with them. We go on some camping trips, and I went backpacking with my son on a quite long and adventurous backcountry backpacking trip camping this summer, and I reported to him at the end of the year. I was sort of reflecting on the wins and losses of the year, and I think that the losses column was quite full, but in the wins column at the very top was that camping trip. I really loved it. We hiked for maybe 7 or 8 hours a day, and we just talked the whole time. And when we finished, Wes reported that he thought we had talked about everything. I think we've covered all topics. And he may have been right. We really did cover a lot. We did everything from the American Revolutionary War to Hiroshima to the baking temperature of chicken. And everywhere in between. I recently got my kids' approval for something, which is sort of the opposite of embarrassing them. And that was when I told them that Billie Eilish had named her cat after me. And they were like, nuh-uh. And I'm like, it's real, kids. So stop treating me like garbage. Thank you.
Okay, so first off, me and my sister love you. And she has this nickname for your character. She calls you Casserole.
Casserole. Casserole.
Casserole?
Yes.
Flattering?
My question for you is like, do you have a favorite place do you like to visit a lot?
Okay, that's not related to casseroles though.
No.
It did was it like Cass in the later years became casserole?
No,
As he aged into middle age, he became casserole?
She barely started Supernatural not too long ago, so she was like, I'm gonna call him Casserole.
Oh, that's fantastic. A favorite place I like to visit a lot?
Yeah.
I'm not somebody who goes back to the same place a lot for some reason. And I'm always looking for a new place to go to. But that actually sounds really nice to have like a place that you return to all the time. So I don't have one. I have, at some point, I was like talking to a therapist when I was probably in college or something, who said you should find like a happy place in your head that you can go to when you're coping with something difficult, and you can just place yourself, visualize yourself back in this place. And so there's this place that we lived in a tent when I was a kid. It was in an old apple orchard near a beaver dam out in the middle of nowhere in rural western Massachusetts. That's like weirdly my happy place that I sometimes visit in my mind. That might be more information than you were looking for.
I want to say your poetry book is wonderful.
Thank you.
And Road Food has been really fun and touching. And I'm wondering what's been the most surprising thing to you as you've been traveling with Road Food?
There are some strange things exploring the country that you discover now, which is one of them is that the homogenization of America because of box stores and fast food chains is a little bit depressing. Like every off-ramp, and no matter what state you're in, if you're getting off the freeway, they all look the same now. There's always a Target or a Walmart and KFC and a Pizza Hut, and that's just like this, and Starbucks, and it's just this sort of ubiquitous homogenization of America through like corporate franchises. And that it's kind of depressing. So ironically, I think the thing that I saw was like the ways in which America is being homogenized are actually kind of depressing. And the thing to celebrate about the country is pockets of diversity and uniqueness that is actually still flourishing in a lot of places. Anyway.
Thank you.
Okay, well, first of all, you're my favorite. I love Cassiel so much. I love you in Charmed. You know.
He's almost back to his old self. I remember, you were really sweet to him when he was in here. Not many people would have bothered. You must be an angel.
No, I'm no angel. But I could probably introduce you to one if you'd like.
So my question isn't about Supernatural, but there's a...
I was such a baby when I was on Charm. Charm was my first, it was my first television guest star role. And I had done this tiny little co-star role, which is like what's less than a guest star, on a show called Legacy, which nobody saw.
I saw it, yeah.
I was pretty terrible. I had like 4 lines, and the director made me do like 10 takes, and finally he was like, I don't know what to do with this kid, forget it. So they cut like my tiny role in half in the final edit. But when I got on Charmed, I had no idea what I was doing. I was completely out of it. I was truly terrible. And I had this squeaky voice too, because I was just a baby. And I got some feedback from my father-in-law. He said, I watched your episode. He did not approve of my career path at that point. And he said, I watched your episode. You might want to do something about that voice. Which was really great feedback. Maybe that was like the unconscious kernel that was planted that caused me to do this for Castiel. I want to show my father-in-law that I can overcompensate. And so I did the first take, the first scene I was shooting with Alyssa Milano, and I just, like, we did a rehearsal, they put tape on the floor, and then I wandered somewhere else when we shot. And then they said, you missed your mark by a lot. And I was like, who's Mark? I had no idea what was going on. And I had a kissing scene with Alyssa Milano, which was like, I grew up with her on television, and now I'm waltzing into Hollywood and sucking face with Alyssa Milano. It's like, this is awesome. And she slipped me the tongue. And she was like, whoops, I think I slipped you the tongue. And I was like, what do you mean you think you slipped me? Your tongue was in my mouth. It was awesome. And then the character was set up to be her boyfriend. I was going to be in a bunch of episodes. To your point about me being great, the producers saw the episode, they're like, forget it. This relationship is going nowhere. They cut the kiss out and everything. Somewhere there's footage of, in some archive somewhere, of Alyssa Milano's tongue wagging around in my mouth. I hope Alyssa is watching this now. Alyssa, I love you. I cut you off and you were trying to ask me a question.
So my question isn't actually about Supernatural, but there is a certain group of people that believe that you are the Antichrist. What are your thoughts? I'm pretty sure you've been asked.
I think that there was at some point there was something published online explaining how and why I'm the Antichrist. And I've been trying to keep that under wraps a little bit. I don't love to talk about this topic. I mean, if I were the Antichrist, I'd want to be I wouldn't want people to know about it, So obviously this is awkward. I did remember, I can't remember, I think it was maybe some member of the Westboro Baptist Church or something, did this expose on Misha is the Antichrist.
Yes, there is.
And I have to say, I was a little flattered. That's a kind of an important job, being the Antichrist. It's funny when you, it's a strange side effect of being a little bit in the public eye, because sometimes people get weird fixations and then decide things about you that are either true or not true, and you don't know. There'll be a follow-up now on that website where they'll be like, yeah, you didn't deny it. He very clearly did not deny it. He left it open-ended. I'm open to the possibility that I'm the Antichrist.
Just what's been a funny story that you've had at a con or with a fan, that's just wild and crazy?
For instance, I just met a toddler named Castiel. That's quite surreal and a pinch me moment. Or when you find out that Billie Eilish has named her cat Misha, that's pretty amazing. But there are also other things where, like, I saw someone who had gotten a tattoo of my face, but it was not a good drawing. So it's like, it looked like a drawing that a child made of my face, and it's very difficult to erase tattoos. One of the things that's been nice, I need to say this, about the COVID era of conventions is that there's less exchange of bodily fluids between myself and I have to work on my wording skills. So I was at a convention in Australia a few years ago, and they do this thing where you have like a breakfast with some elite fans. And so we were sitting around a table having breakfast, and I was eating my scrambled eggs, and I took the napkin and I wiped my face, and I set the napkin down. And the girl who was sitting nearest to me went like this. And so somewhere, using my saliva, there's a fan in a laboratory trying to clone me or something.
Hi, so like others have said, I absolutely love your poetry book, and I was just curious if you could maybe like talk about a little bit the process of like writing that book and like what made you write it.
I was just talking with my friend who's a writer, and it was interesting because I wrote poems for a while. I mean, that book represents almost 20 years of poems being collected over time. And so it's actually it's almost a little bit of a memoir, I guess, in poetry, because it really does cover a span of my life. Actually, right after I got on Supernatural, like a few months after I got on Supernatural, I got a few letters actually. I had submitted poems to be published in literary journals, and I got a few acceptance letters. And it was so unbelievably exciting to me. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I think I was more excited about that than getting the role of Castiel in Supernatural. And then this funny thing happened to me. I had been writing up until that point, just like, it was almost like therapy with a pen and paper. And it was just for me, and there was no self-consciousness in the process whatsoever. As soon as I got a few poems published, the process of writing became much more difficult, because I had a part of my brain was conscious of like, well, maybe someone will see this. Maybe you'll try to publish this poem too. And that filter made it really difficult to write. So at a certain point, I decided I'm not going to submit any more poems for publication. I'm not going to think about that. I'm just going to write for me like I did at the beginning. And then that freed me up to just, not to write unsubconsciously.
Hello. My question is, if Cass could be put into a Jin's perfect life, what would that look like?
If Cass could be put into what?
A Jin's perfect life?
A Jinn is like a genie. It puts you to sleep and puts you in your perfect world.
I should have watched the show. Wait, so it puts you in your perfect dream world. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Right, so I'll explain this to you. So, when a Jinn casts a spell on you, then it puts you in your perfect dream world. And the question is, what would that be for Castiel?
Yes.
That hurt. Wait a minute, how is that different from heaven?
It's fake, because it's...
What?
It's fake, and he's gonna kill you, is what happens. Yeah.
It drains your life force, as I was explaining to you. And then you can, and so it's not good for you when it happens. But still, heaven knows. I was a warrior in heaven? I know! I played character! God! stupid. Is that Castiel wasn't working? So Castiel, wouldn't he be like flying a kite in a field like with a middle-aged autistic guy?
If that would make him happy.
Wasn't that Castiel's heaven? But I think that wasn't really fully updated because where you'd like to spend time, you would be hanging out with Sam and Dean, right? You wouldn't be just in a field with a kite. Cass doesn't like kites at all. That was terrible writing. He would be a beekeeper. He would work with bees. He would be naked and covered in honey. And Sam and Dean would be smoking out the bees. That's what would happen. Thank you for helping me rewrite. When we do the Netflix reboot, that's how it's going to start. Thank you.
Like, if you had to sell your soul, what would you do it for?
Oh, I would sell my soul. I mean, I feel like I've kind of already sold my soul in a lot of respects. I've done some promotional stuff online that was pretty much selling my soul. So the answer is for about $5,000. That's about my price, the price of my soul, I would say.
Thank you.
I mean, to be honest, there's not that, I don't know why I have to be honest, it's a ridiculous question, but I think that there are very few things that I would actually sell my soul for. And for me, actually, it's actually a relevant question right now because I am actively trying to figure out what I want to do next in my life and how I want to approach, the next 5 years or the rest of my life. And there are certain shiny objects that are tempting along the way, like money, for instance. And you could just pursue a path that's just about money, and that would be kind of akin to selling your soul. And so I am spending a lot of time thinking about, what are the things that I really am willing to sacrifice for? And what are the things that I am not willing to sacrifice for? And spending time with my children and my kids' well-being at this moment, I know it sounds trite, but I think that that's the thing that I'd be like, I'm willing to sacrifice pretty much everything else for that right now. And that or roughly $5,000.
We got to see Cass as a human, so what do you think in his time spent on Earth, his favorite human experiences were, the things he got to do now that he had a human vessel?
Well, I mean, we have some of that data from the show. Cass liked peanut butter, I believe?
Yes, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah, so that's one thing. I think if you were not a human and not able to eat, you'd miss out on a lot of things. Cass also enjoyed eating toothpaste. I think Cass could have had a lot more sex. I think that was a missed opportunity. I think that should have been an entire season of the show, honestly. It would be human Cass on Tinder, just going to town. Or Grindr, or both, whatever. I'm sitting down, which is the opposite of what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be standing up.
No, you can do whatever you want. You're Misha frickin' Collins, dude. How'd it go out here?
It went well, I think. I enjoyed it. They didn't have a great time, but I had a nice time. That's what's important. They're swearing at me.
Actually, bullshit is Texas for we love you. So.
Bullshit.
Ladies and gentlemen, Misha Collins.
fellow Texans. The rest of y'all, get out. Kidding.
She got up. What did I say? There are two kinds of people in this world, those who were born in Texas and those who got here as fast as they could. So.
Any first-timers? All right. Any first-time Texans? All right, I like it. Yeehaw. Yeehaw, mother. Kidding. G-rated. It's not new yet. As y'all well know, as we were filming season 15, we had planned to finish, it would have been, what, April? End of March, April?
April.
And so his parents and my parents had planned a trip to go to Vancouver and hang out for a week and see, you know, like the last...
See their sons graduate.
Yeah. And then pandemic happened. So they weren't able to come up because they would have to, you know, quarantine for 2 weeks. And so we were able to kind of get the Papa and Mama Ackles and the Papa and Mama Padalecki together last night for a nice meal. So that was. And you look around and you're like, this was supposed to happen 2 years ago.
Yeah.
In Vancouver. What's happened between now? Anyway.
I don't know. It's been a blur. It's good to be back here. How was the concert last night? Sorry we couldn't make it. We were at dinner saying, yes ma'am, no sir. So
the least I've cursed in a 3-hour span, probably the last
100%. For sure.
100%, like legit 100%.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a variety of age in this audience, but there's like a parent mode. You know? Am I wrong here?
Well, shall we? What do you think?
I don't know. Let's you guys come here with some questions, or you just want to see us talk about nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Just talk? Oh gosh, it's like a live podcast.
I think a good way to start is with the Texas ain't Texas. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I wanted to say thank you so much for putting up with all of our prop ideas.
Crap ideas?
Prop ideas is what she said.
Well, same thing. Crap ideas, prop ideas.
A little Freudian slip there, but that's fine.
I thoroughly enjoyed arresting you yesterday.
What's that?
I thoroughly enjoyed arresting you yesterday.
Yeah, she arrested me.
Yes.
Yeah, she did that. She pulled that part. He did it worse. He made me put a jumpsuit on and walk on the set. Like, this is gonna be funny. Okay.
Well, it was. I mean, it wasn't lost on me. She comes in as dressed as Walker, basically, and then she asks to arrest me with, you know, and I was like, the two sides of Jared.
Jared before midnight, Jared after.
Right. Jared at work, Jared after work.
Yeah, but which is which there? I'm well behaved at work either.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, my question was actually for Jensen.
Okay, great.
In NOLA, I brought the Stephen Amell pop, the big cutout.
Yep.
Did you send the picture to him?
Oh yeah, I sent it to him like immediately. Yeah, and he has sent one back in return of me, of a cutout. So she brought a life-size cutout of Stephen Amell.
Life-size, like?
Yeah, this like life-size.
Skinny shoulders.
And yes, he has fired back a similar photo. So
Yeah, it's been he's pretty funny. Amell, Ackles well, but via text, all randomly, it'll be a weekend and he's somewhere, and I'll get a photo of him like holding a picture of me, and he's like, "Well, I saw you today." I'm like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" That's kind of the way he catches up. That's too funny.
yeah, so thanks for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So, first time here, my wife got me to the show last year, binged it all.
Welcome.
Welcome.
It's been amazing.
Nice.
How far did you make it?
Oh, I'm done. We did it in 3 months. we got stuck working from home during the pandemic, so we were binging.
Yep.
So question. So listening to all the panels yesterday and Friday, you guys are completely backwards from what I gathered. I figured you were the jokester on the set, and you were the nice guy. So,
that's how good of actors we are.
You're welcome.
Which one are you?
And, well, more importantly, you figured I had the long hair and he had the short hair. We're just flipping the script.
Keeping you guessing, man.
Which one of you actually are more like their on-set character, and what did you bring from yourself into your character?
Go ahead.
Thanks, Jensen.
I mean, I'll take it. I think there's a lot of similarities between myself and Dean. Maybe not early on, but as the show grew and the character grew and the relationships within the show grew, and I grew personally, there certainly became blurred lines of identity there, and he and I were able to kind of snap into those characters very quickly because they are a part of us. It's a part of my personality. So what you were seeing was not me pretending to be somebody completely different. It was more of just me exaggerating a piece of my own personality. So, and I think probably pretty similar for you. I mean, you can't go 15 years if
trying to pretend
that would be exhausting. So yeah, it was. There was definitely a large part of me within Dean's portrayal, and like people are like, oh, I miss Dean. I'm like, Dean's not gone. He's right in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. To echo that. So I'm a pretty silly dude. I'm like a grown-up 10-year-old. Not grown up, just overgrown, I think. Yeah. But when I
wouldn't have been the prankster on set, but I didn't have to be. So that's.
Jensen is funnier on a regular basis in person than Dean is, even though Dean was really funny. Jensen's friendlier, but he also has. It's funny, like when Jared gets into work mode, I'm very much like Sam. Like I'm laser focused and like we gotta blah 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 blah. Otherwise, I'm kind of silly and goofy. Jensen also friendly and silly and goofy, but when he gets into like shit's gonna go down mode, he's Dean. He's like, all right, who do I have to mess up? Ackles, you're on TV.
I'm gonna hit him first.
Don't do what I did.
I'm gonna hit him. Then I'm gonna hit that kid.
It's cool, man. It's cool. So I think, I think we have a lot of similarities, to echo what Ackles said, to our characters. I've seen a little bit of Supernatural since we said our goodbyes, and I see Jensen and I see Jared, and Sam and Dean. So yeah, welcome to the family.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. I'm gonna go way over here. It's right there, purple. You got a hand.
Lots of hands in here, Jared. Lots of hands.
I'm Catherine. I'm from Kansas City.
All right. Hey, Catherine. Yeah. Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas?
KCK.
KCK?
KCK.
I like that.
Would y'all consider being in an international project like Squid Game? And if so, like, is there a specific country you'd like to work in or something?
Hell yes. That'd be amazing. Did you hear it?
Yeah, no.
Would you do international project like Squid Game?
Oh, got it.
Yeah. I mean, we did, technically, objectively, we did a 15-and-a-half-year international project. Because we're Texans, and we worked in Canada.
We commuted to work over the international lines.
Yeah. Our passport got a lot of stamps.
So many.
I would love to, I think after technically working internationally for 15.5 years, I think he and I wanted to see our families more. He got the itch and went back international. Couldn't get enough of that northern cold.
I wanted the eastern side experience. That's why I went and spent 7 months over in Toronto this past year. So it wasn't by design.
Yeah, it
is. It's kind of you go where you're deployed.
Yeah, which I think is the exact answer to your question. Like if something comes up and we're free and we're excited about it, we can work with other friends or people we admire or whatever.
I mean, I think that our family situation maybe tethers us a little bit more than if we were, single with no kids. We could go and shoot a series in the UK or Bulgaria or wherever they're, but I think we're probably a little bit more thoughtful about where we're going and for how long. I know that the Toronto stint was a little more difficult than anticipated because I'd already signed up for it a year prior, thinking that we would have a handle on the pandemic and that things would be okay.
And there's a non-stop flight from Toronto to Austin.
Yeah, like I would have just been able to bounce back. And it wasn't just 2 people working every single day. It's a big ensemble cast. I had days, sometimes weeks off. But because the border was closed down because of COVID, I got up there and couldn't leave. So that was tough. If I'd have known that in advance, I probably would have had a serious, sit down about that and thought it out a little bit more. But yeah, I think working internationally and travel, that's one of the perks of this job, is it takes us places and we get to experience, new places, new people, new experiences. It's a fun gig.
All that having been said, I think I'll speak for both of us. Go out on a limb and say, we also love staying in Texas.
Yeah.
Love you guys. We have a big day coming, so see you.
Thanks, y'all.
Take a good look, lift your head up, baby. Bang it on so everyone can hear. Well, come on and ride with me. I watch you change from blue to green. Do you see yourself back in the mirror? Baby, I saw you don't have to let this world take control. Lay your head down, baby. I know you don't have to go through life alone. No, I know you got a soul. Lift your head up, baby. Bang a drum so everyone can hear. Come on and ride with me. I watch you change from blue to green. Do you see yourself back in the mirror? Baby, I saw you don't have to let this world take control. Lay your head down, baby. I know you don't have to go through life alone, your own. I know you got a soul. The worry of this weary world has fallen on your head. I know you need to go, but while the fear is dead, the worry of this weary world has fallen on your head. I know you need to go, but while the fear is dead, baby, that's all. You don't have to let this world take control. Lay your head down, baby. I know you don't have to go through life on your own. No, I know you got a soul.
No pressure, but I may have the most important question of the con. So, Jared has been asked this since day one. What conditioner do you use?